I now open this? Thank you very much. Can I just open this out? And what I might do is take 3 or 4 questions and then come back to the panel and do it in that way. So if I can go 3 or 4 questions, one at the back, 2 at the back, 3, 4 at the back. Oh, 5. Were you 5? Okay. Yeah. In that order.
I think it's distinction you're making between different contexts where you might say, for example, marriage was a pedophile or whatever. But we're talking about when the law should get involved, and it seems to me that in the example you gave, on the say with skin men and so on, it seems to me that law could already get involved in there in a very simple way, which is that could, I'm lost in say level, but it seems to me that could easily constitute assault. In similar situations, you know, there would be.
I never mentioned violence.
Assault doesn't require.
Well, assault doesn't require actual physical violence. I mean, it can be sort of the apprehension of immediate force, I think, is the phrase. And it seems to me that you could very easily make a case for that in many situations where there's sort of where the context is like that.
I can't remember what I said to you. Oh, okay.
I wasn't next, but I did want to ask a question, and it was to bring attention to kind of Saeed's point about in Orientalism about power relations and the ability of the one party to define the other over and above that party's definition of itself. And I feel like on the discussion about Islam, this is part of the issue. I mean, we're almost talking about like an idealized public space in which everybody has equal access to participate in this discussion, and that just isn't the case. And so the ability of one party to define another over and above itself is the issue here. It's not, in fact, about free speech. It's specifically about that point there, I think.
Well, then you should change those parameters. I mean, say that, for example, on comment is free, you have the whole gamut of British Muslim philosophers, all the different positions of British Muslim philosophers, and they've made a lot of effort to do that.
They're pretty much the only ones, but yeah.
Well, there's email and there's, you know, a few other mags, right? Email, not email.
Oh, ML, yes, yeah. Which I used to work for, and they have an incredibly small readership and virtually no non-Muslim readership, and that's the point, really. How many people here have read ML magazine? How many people go out of their way to kind of make sure they hear?
Can I just can I just take the questions, because I said I would, and I can't remember what was number 3. Okay, 3.
I was wondering if you thought that commerce and the increasing institutionality in nations of multinational corporations has a restrictive influence on free speech.
Just about coming back to the civility question, but how much is being civil part of a cultural basis? So, for example, last year I lived in Russia, and it's kind of less of a cultural given that we would say is in Britain. We would say thank you for holding the door. In Britain, Russia, you just would. And then again, that translates into something like in France, where it's just not the dumb thing to talk about politicians' private lives, and that's kind of a self-censorship issue among politicians. So, just generally about that as a cultural issue.
I accept that there can be problems with involving legislation of free speech. The thing about legislation is that it undergoes public debate, and you can write your MP about it, or the courts can clarify it. If we did as you suggested and left the onus on institutions to regulate themselves, what kind of public oversight can there be, to stop corporations and so forth from abusing this kind of power on the employees and so forth?